Oh, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adam Thursby. You're here at Box 3 Motorsports for race 3 of our PC ACC season. We are at Brands Hatch today. And I'm not going to tell you, I don't know for sure, but, you know, Brands is in the UK. And when I was on the server earlier watching some of these guys practice, there was weather. I'm hoping for weather today. Sitting here, I'm hoping for weather. I don't know if they are, but I'm definitely hoping for weather. But I want to welcome everyone in. Thank you again for being here. As I said, we're back for, I believe it's race 3. Yeah, race 3, Brands Hatch. Today's standard racing, so 20-minute qual, 45 minutes of race, 1 mandatory pit stop during those 45 minutes. And we will get things started here in just a moment. Before we do, however, though, take a look at that PC season. Coming up next week, an endurance race at Paul Ricard. 90 minutes, not one of my favorite tracks, but certainly going to be a long one there. 90 minutes, 20-minute quals, 1 mandatory pit stop during that time. And again, that'll be at Paul Ricard. You can catch that here next week, the exact same time. Don't forget this season, Next Level Racing. Thank you so much to them. Our Pro Class champion going to win an FGT Light racing cockpit from Next Level Racing. Coach Dave Academy contributing as well. We want to thank both of our sponsors. Silver Class champ pulling a car setup bundle. And the most improved driver, as voted on by the community, receiving a track map bundle, I should say. It's confusing to say that sometimes. Also, we're here every Monday for casual racing. Paul Ricard tomorrow. You get to see Paul Ricard on Monday. You get to see an endurance race there next week. But this is our Euro Trip Casual League. Takes place on Mondays. Again, if you're one of those drivers who maybe you're not sure about league racing, you don't know how well it's going to go, you don't know if you like the competitiveness of it. As you can see, the Euro Trip is a casual event league. The guys go out there. It's a 30-minute race, no pit stop, very casual format with a 15-minute qual. So that will continue into May, and I'm sure we'll have something coming up after that. And with that, however, we're going to go check the server, see if we can get in. Waiting for that bounce. Get pre-practice started today. And it looks like we are just on time. And we will start taking some reviews here and seeing who all is joining us on track today at Brands. So far here for the free practice, sunny and showing sun for the next 30 minutes. Now, obviously, depending on how things are configured, when that's going to happen, we don't know 100% that we're not going to see rain today. It certainly was raining earlier, but I think things might have changed as far as the weather report over there in the UK. So let's get things switched around here and take a look at who is out racing with us today. And Alejandro Aguilar in a Porsche, a very fancy Porsche. Wow. The colors on that bad boy. That will be hard to miss on the track today. James Nugget Bicing back out on track today in the Honda, of course. Tom Foose returns as we watch him cut a little grass getting started here. Gerald Butts in the Lexus. Nice looking car. Yannick Kurtz, Altara Racing returns. David Soul back out on track today at Brands. Brands, one of my favorite circuits, I have to admit. There's something about the circuits that have decent elevation changes, whether Spa, I think, is my favorite, but Bathurst, Brands Hatch, tracks like that I really enjoy. Even Imola, which doesn't change a whole lot, I still really enjoy those elevation changes. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of fun here at Brands today. Kevin Silvares taking a little bit of a slide into the grass, but joining us today. Humphrey Wangle Snatcher returns. Team Coco Moco. That'll be fun. DJ back out in the Porsche today. Rogerio Santos, T-Rex Racing Team. Daniel Pickett returns, not driving the Pink Pig this week. Instead, opting for a shiny purple livery. Lee King McGee back out in the Bentley. Now, I love the livery, but anybody in chat would have to agree with me that that looks like an Austin Powers car. Am I wrong in thinking that? I love it. I think it's well designed, but I'm just saying, like, it really looks like something. If Austin Powers had a Bentley, I think that's what he would drive. I love it. Josh Butler out in the AMG today, and we are joined again as the camera goes crazy by Ryan Canopin, esports legend. Rick Pixel back out in the McLaren. A lot of drivers on track today, up to 39 so far. Bryn Evans returns in the Ferrari. Xander Galvin takes a walk through the gravel. I'll get it right. Terrell Taylor, another Honda on track today. Chris Moses. A little bit of a wobble downhill. See that a lot out of T1 at Brands. Matthew Givens, our second Bentley on track today. Petru Sionica joins us again. Kevin Huffman racing today in the Lexus. Remco Ottens back again. George Garton back as well. Another BMW out there. Great to see, along with John Gray. GT Racing Team in the McLaren. That is most of them. They've been jumping around a little bit, taking a look real quick just to see, again, free practice, qualifying's coming. But we look here now, King McGee up front with a 125.6. Tom Foose right there behind him in the BMW. And Pickett sitting in third with a 126.1. So just over that 126 mark. Putting Daniel Pickett in third during the free practice so far. But Foose and McGee holding purple sectors as we get started here today. Take a look at the map of Brands Hatch as well. You can see we've got a full course today. Brands not the longest track. I mean, that 125 lap time, that's not a lot of space, right? That's not a lot of room. Luckily, a wider track than what we saw at Olton Park earlier in the season. But again, it's so short. A lot of opportunity for action here. A lot of passing opportunities at Brands Hatch. It's a matter of choosing that right corner and where you're going to make that move. Robin Chess says Moses is the driver to watch today. We will have to see about that as we go through into qualification here in just about 3 minutes. So with that 3-minute wait till the end of qualification, I'm going to take a quick step away before we get started for today's race. I do want to thank everyone for joining us here at Box3 Motorsports. Stick around. We've got a standard 45-minute race coming up after a 20-minute qualification right after this free practice. Be right here with you. As our free practice starts to come to an end here, Art's now holding P1, the 125.3, but only taking Sector 3. Tom Foose still holding Sector 1. And Rosario Santos now in the pits, but holding Sector 2. Purple laps thus far. King McGee keeping himself in second. Tom Foose now jumping up there just as I say it with a 125.3. So even during our free practice, we'll throw those times up one more time. Our top 5 drivers right now, all sub 126s. So, but again, you know, we talk about this in the free practice, but you see a lot of these guys I don't know that are out actually running laps, actually trying to set times. We'll have to see how that changes up during our qualification today. Tobias Gable, currently sitting in 4th, one of those 125.6 runners. Welcome, Welt Cakes. Got Brannigan in the chat. Rob, D5, DT Bubs. Thank you guys all for being here. Bryn Evans now jumping into the top 3 during our free practice. And again, pushing those 125s. Now the top 7 drivers sitting at a 125. EJ putting at least one Porsche in the top 10 today for free practice. As we get ready for qualification now. And again, track temperature, you know, we're seeing a track temp of 21C, 18C, plenty of sunshine, holding for at least the next 30 minutes. So obviously no rain during this qualification session today as the drivers start to head out on track. 39 drivers on the paddock today at Brands Hatch. We wait for everyone to get started, create some room for each other. Gerald Butz. Very nice livery there on that Lexus. You mean like this? No. Can't do that. James Bising today, Spoon. Box 3 team. Very proud of that Honda. No one is quite sure why, but he does enjoy driving it and does quite well for himself. He looks to clear space for other drivers looking to make their laps today. Insert is default cycle MFD. Well, you know what? I'll give it a shot, guys. Since we're in qual, we got plenty of time. I will give it a shot. It's not doing anything. Oh, that's probably because I'm not in the game. Is that what you're looking for, gentlemen? You start clocking those times. I'm more than happy to do that for you. There we go. You will get to start seeing those times come through now. Thank you, everyone. I think that's a great addition, and I will do my best to leave that up going forward. Andrew Haynes, our driver with the league in the BMW today. You start seeing times coming in. L. King McGee currently sitting in first in the Bentley. And again, you know, free practice, as I said, it's great to get this idea of where people are running. But if you take a look at those times, McGee and Canopin now both with sub 125s. We saw none of those during the free practice. And already right here at the beginning of qualifying, right in the first 5 minutes, we've got a 124.3 and a 124.8. So it goes to show you this stuff changes very quickly, and I'll be curious to see how many of the 125 drivers we saw during free practice are able to push themselves up to that level. And we see as many in that area. And there is another one right there. Garton pushing Canopin back one spot. Garton, a newcomer to the league this season, currently sitting in second. And again, curiously, no purple, right? We see no purple. And now there, King McGee sets a new lower time, now stripping it all the way down to a 123.9 as Canopin jumps himself back up with a 124.1. So already the competition heating up at Brands Hatch this afternoon as these guys keep pushing the times lower and lower. Garton now pushed back to third. Tom Fu sitting in fourth. Tobias Gable, though, in fifth. Obviously doing quite well for Gable at Brands Hatch today. Some of the highest times we've seen him qualify with. Rogerio Santos now pushing up, however. Go on board with Garton real quick. Garton was running about 0.3 faster. Now just a little bit off the pace as he starts the new lap, so gets himself back into fourth. But Kurtz jumping up with a 124.187. Actually has the exact same time as Brian Canopin right now as he dumps back to the pits. Tobias Gable sitting in seventh at this point, but again, 0.3 faster than his last lap. And that did not work out well for Tobias on this lap. Pushing just a little too hard. Christoph Art's currently sitting in 10th. That lap gets him up to 7th, however. Go on board with him for a lap. Running about 0.2 ahead coming out of T1 and now back to break even. See if he can jump himself. He pushed up into 8th. A lot of competition here at Brands. I don't know if guys were getting a lot of practice in this week or what that might be, but we're seeing a lot of drivers towards the front that we maybe don't always see. We're seeing some further back that perhaps we're not used to seeing sitting back in 6th, 7th. You know, typically seeing them ranked a little higher coming out of qual. And again, plenty of time left to go. A little over 12.5 minutes left in the qualifying session today, but great to see these guys really pushing up. King McGee extending his lead just a bit now with that 123.6. Brought it down about 0.3 on his last lap before heading into the pits. Brian Canopin now heading back out as well. And there we see Art's lap able to pull him up into 5th currently. Ryan Canopin on your screen, currently sitting in 2nd. The 124.040, so just shy of that 123 mark. I'm sure looking to bring himself down to where McGee is running. But the 124s are in effect at the front of our paddock thus far. Brian Canopin being the first, but all the way down to Tobias Gable in 10th. So 9 drivers out of the top 10 sitting in 124 will make for some very, very close racing at Brands today. Again, being such a short track, there's not a ton of room to really open that gap before you're going to start hitting back markers during the course of a 45-minute race. And Kurt's now looking to get a better time. Running a little bit ahead on this lap. By hundredths of seconds, however, not the tenths that he needs. Somebody earlier in the chat, oh, they tricked me, said to keep an eye on Moses during today's race in that AMG Mercedes. Moses currently sitting in 12th. We'll have to look to see if he's able to close that gap and get a little higher. Not this lap, he says. Not this lap. Rogerio Santos sitting in 9th right now. Here's one to watch, though. Kurtz right now, 0.3 up on his fastest, currently sitting in 3rd. We follow him around for a minute. That would jump him into the 123s and push him up into 2nd, allowing him to claim a spot in row 1 at the start of today's race. Now getting hung up in a little bit of traffic. Is it going to be too much? Oh, clears quick, but let's see if he is able to get there. Sitting at 2.7 faster, 2.8, 0.3 now. And there we go, Kurtz pushing himself up into row 1, getting our second 123 of the day. Just about 7.5 minutes left to go. King McGee really laying it down today during qualifying. I mean, even now, looking at the delta that he continues to run, he's right there within 100th of a second or even 1,000th of a second of his fastest time every lap. And that he stays out, obviously. And even now, jumps up by over 1/10. We'll see if he can hold on to it through the remainder of this lap. Yannick Kurtz jumping up into P2. Brian Canopin still on track, however. Haynes, Garden, Arts, Foose, Wangle Snatcher, Santos, and Fernandez rounding out your top 10 to this point. Rebel and Bear in the chat. What is going on, gentlemen? Thank you so much for being here. And there, King McGee decides that's good for now. Gonna head back to the pits. Checking on Anthony Anderson, currently sitting in 19th. Zab Brannigan back this week. Got himself in 18th right now with a 125.4. But still, he has a lot of company. 125s going from number 15, Daniel Pickett, and extending all the way down to P27 with Gerald Butz. I mean, that's a lot of drivers to be going that fast, that close together on this short of a track. The 124 is same thing. It's just going to be absolutely fantastic to see how much action we get today as Brian Kinnipin heads out one more time. Gypsy, we don't want to make those kind of predictions around here. That's nothing but trouble, methinks. There you see Arts getting himself up into third now, bumping Canopin back. Canopin just a tad, a 0.132 to a 0.40. Those guys virtually tied coming across. All of them are restart, Red says. Well, as long as you've got a list there, good sir, bounce it. These guys really pushing today. Let's check in with Remco Ottens. Ottens pushing up into 11th, but again, you know, you say somebody's position on track and you're like, he's 11th, he's outside the top 10, but again, there's some stiff competition here today with this many drivers hitting that 124, and Ottens is one of them with a 124.6. So it's amazing to me how tight we're seeing these times come across. Now with about 3.5 minutes left to go in qualifying, still plenty of time for changes to happen. Brian Kinnipin now a 10th faster than his fastest. Looking to see if he can maybe get himself back up at least into third. Have that inside into T1. If not, trying to bump Kurtz out of row 1. Now running just a tad behind. Andrew Haynes. Into 6th, bumping Tobias Gable and Santos. Tom Foose even running in 9th right now. Used to seeing Tom plotted much higher during qualification here at Box 3. And as we come towards the end of qualifying, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make sure everyone remembers we're back next week. Endurance racing at Paul Ricard. 20-minute qualification with a 90-minute race on what some of the drivers like to call the parking lot. That's the thing about Paul Ricard. If you can go to Sam's Club or Costco, you can probably race at Paul Ricard. Do all right. There's your season 2 schedule. However, Pro Class champion this season, taking home that next level racing FGT Light. Silver Class champ. Our setup bundle from Coach Dave Academy, and the most improved driver as voted on by the community, a track mat bundle. From Coach Dave Academy. I want to thank all of those folks, Next Level Racing and Coach Dave, for their sponsorship of this season. And if you're more of a casual driver, talk about Paul Ricard. We're going there tomorrow, March 21st. You can watch it right here at 8 p.m. UTC. Should be about 4 p.m. Eastern. Our Euro trip season continues in week 3. Again, headed to Paul Ricard. 15-minute qual, 30-minute race, 100% casual league. So if you're just getting started with sim racing, or you think it's something you want to try out, it's a great place to do it before you jump into league racing. Although you're welcome to join our league races as well. A lot of the guys do both. This is somewhere you can just have fun on a Monday evening, hop in, and get some experience on track with Box 3. Andrea said hello, Bubs. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We check back in. Things have changed while we talked, ladies and gentlemen. Yannick Kurtz jumps himself up into first with a 123.370 to McGee's 395. Ryan Canopin back up into third. As we said, he was looking to take Arts, right? He got him, a 123.935. So our top 3 drivers now all under 124, coming towards the end of qualifying here. And there you have it right there. Kurtz and McGee tying for purple sector in sector 2. Absolutely phenomenal. You see how close those times are, with Kurtz and McGee going to make up row 1. Canopin Arts in row 2. Garton getting bumped down into row 3 with Haynes. And as always, we'll wait for the end of qualification here. We'll get our next session started, ready to go. We'll bring up that poll. You guys can decide. Pick the top from the top 5 of who the winner at Brands Hatch will be today. I'm stumbling over words, and I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to type one thing and say something else at the same time. We'll do that to you, I guess. Daniel Pickett still out driving for qualification today. Our top 5 drivers as of right now, either in the pits, have finished, or are yellow flagged. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we are going today. And we'll bring those times up one last time once we can get in here. Hit that timetable for qualification today. Hertz, King, McGee going to share row 1. Hertz claiming pole position by a hair. But there he is. Arts, Canopin going to be in row 2. And you see Arts able to take P3 back. Canopin right at the end, leaking out the inside going into T1. Garton and Foose, row 3. Haynes and Moses will share row 4. Wangle Snatcher and Tobias Gable going to share row 5. That is your top 10. Santos and Ottens are together. Anderson, Fernandez, such a great paddock built out today. Pickett and Gray, Thomas Chalice, Isar and Zap Brannigan back on track in his Porsche. And then P20 going to share row 10 with Kesar. EJ and Gress, Charlton and Soul. Steven, Givens, Pryor, Brown, Silvaris. The teams are all here. Even Kevin Huffman back on track today. Bryn Evans disqualified for some reason. We'll have to see why. As we get ready for racing to start at Brands Hatch. There you go, folks. There is today's poll. Choose from the top 5 qualifiers on who will be our race winner today. We will see where the votes land. Kurtz McGee, very, very fast here. But our top 4 all, again, under that 124 mark, the only 4 to do that. We saw no one do it during free practice. Here during qualifying, they just slowly kept ticking up there. So, be curious to see who Cat thinks our winner will be today. Just over 1 minute left to go here at Brands. Let's bring that map up one more time. Again, such a fun track. A lot of elevation changes. I enjoy driving it myself, but very short. Again, we see those 123s, those 124s, right? This is not 2 minutes, two minutes and 20 seconds at Spa. This is not 2 minutes or just sub 2 minutes at any of the longer tracks. There's so little room here. Again, wider than Olton, which we talked about. So a lot of opportunity for passing. However, with this many drivers on track today, I mean, I think we're still sitting at 39 total, 41 actually. Some of the drivers coming in late. 41 drivers on a track, on a circuit this short means we're very quickly going to be in backmarker territory. Very quickly going to be having to navigate traffic, and even in a 45-minute race, it's going to be about how these faster drivers manage that traffic and deal with the back markers that get in front of them, deal with battling amongst the back markers. That's really going to tell the tale, I think, of today's race. Only 1 vote so far for Brian Canopin. We are off for the start of our race here today at Brands Hatch. The one good thing about a short track, short formation lap. Folks, we may end up with a restart of this race. We'll wait and see here for in a moment. But as you can see from our graph there on the left, no mandatory pit stop set. These races do require a mandatory pit stop, tires and fuel from all drivers. So far, in just a little bit of time left to vote in today's poll, Kurtz and Canopin each drawing 1 vote. It's a tie for who people think are going to win so far. Get your votes in now. It's almost over. They do tie. Kurtz, Canop, and tie as our selected winners today. We get ready for the green flag to drop here at Brands Hatch. A full grid. We're going to try and bring you all the action we can. And there it went. Just as we were about to hit green. You guys know what that means, right? That means you get to hang out with me for a few minutes. Hopefully we'll not be long here, though. Hopefully we'll not be long. We will wait for this server to come back up. Drivers should be dropped right in where they called. Everything should go very smoothly, hopefully. Very easy to get everyone back in. And we'll get our race started. Oh, that's not good, though. Oh, now the game itself shows disconnected. So we're going to jump out of there completely real quick, too. Fun times, isn't it? We'll see if that comes back up. For some reason, I doubt it, but we'll see. Hopefully servers are not good. Because that will not be fun even a little bit for anybody. There we go. All right. At least the ACC servers aren't down, so we're good there. Just wait for this to pop back up and get the message that we are good to join. All drivers are now back in the drivers meeting. Folks, we're going to go to a quick intermission. Please stick with us. We're going to be right back with this race. I appreciate y'all being here. Give me just a few minutes. We'll get it back to it. All right, folks, we're bringing it back. It's coming back. It's coming back up. As you can see, we're getting back on track. Drivers are going to join slowly. We'll see them drop in here one after another. We will get this going on. Now, don't be nervous about that free practice you see at the top. This is just to give time for the drivers to join. We're not redoing qualification. We will be going right into the race directly after this. So stand by, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I thank you for your patience. We're going to get this going today. That said, where do we say we're racing next week? Paul Ricard. I can tell you this, I'd much rather race or watch a race at Brands than I would at Paul Ricard. It's just my personal opinion. Paul Ricard has its idiosyncrasies like all these tracks do, but it's just so flat. Drives me up the wall. But Brands, I think we can have a lot of fun. So we watch our drivers drop in slowly. We will be missing a few people that unfortunately, because of the restart, don't feel that they can finish the race. So they're going to go ahead and bow out for this week. But with everyone joining in order, this should start very, very quickly. Zap is gonna win. Listen, I'm all for it. Zap, great driver, good guy. You see him sitting up there on track. But that said, Zap currently sitting in 19th. I wouldn't hold it against him. I'd very much love to see Zap win. But it's going to be a long slog, especially with some of the times we saw up front. You will see here a little bit of a change up front. Tom Foose, one of the drivers, unable to return for this race restart. So everyone going to move up a little bit. Kurtz and McGee going to share row 1. Arts, Canup in row 2. Garton and Haynes now will share row 3. Moses and Wango Snatcher in row 4. Tobias Gable and Rosario Santos, row 5. There's your new top 10. We watch everyone load in. We'll get ready for this race again. Just about 6.5 minutes left to go until we kick it off. And one thing I did forget to mention earlier, because unfortunately, there's currently no race coverage here at Box 3's Twitch channel. If you are an Xbox driver who would like to join us, we are currently running Season 2 of our Xbox GT3 League. Just had the Spa, and I'm going to say it the way I was told it was said, Frankenchips. Spa Frankenchips. No, I know that's not right, but that's how I was told it was said. We just had our Spa Endurance race yesterday. A lot of great racing to be had. As with any race, a few incidents, but I think overall the drivers were very satisfied. Coming up next week, another endurance race at Barcelona. That's 2 hours of racing, followed by a closeout at the end of the season, April 2nd at Mount Panorama. And if you are an Xbox League member, we will be coming out soon with questions and a thread in the Discord about what do you want to see for Season 3? Should we change things up? Do you want to do something different? Where do you guys want to go with it? We are a community-run league, and we want your input. So if you're an Xbox driver and you think that sounds like something you might enjoy, by all means, head on over to Box 3 Motorsports and join us. We will be more than happy to have you for our Xbox Racing League. And there we go. We have forwarded to the next session. With that, we'll be able to jump ourselves out here and get ready for this race. Oh, we're in the qualifying, but that's all right. They'll push that up as well to the following session. So again, Yannick Kurtz sitting on pole position today. Going to share row one with McGee. Some great qualifying driving from all these guys up front, our top four at least, with the sub 124s. These guys really hammering it through Brands. And as we said, though, it's one of those things where it's such a short track. It'll be very interesting to see what it takes once these guys get hung up in the back markers and the slower drivers, who we saw some 125s, 126s during qual. It may make things very, very difficult for our faster drivers as this race winds on. ET Bubs, there you go. Franken chips for the win. That's right. Temperatures so far, even with new sessions, still holding 18°C ambient, 21 degrees on the track. The sun is shining. See if that's going to hold for race time. Like Yannick Kurtz decided to change his livery. There he is, King McGee, AKM Racing UK in the Bentley. We haven't seen a lot of Bentleys being driven at Box3 Motorsports. McGee, one of the few, but overall, very few Bentleys. Not what we typically saw when I was covering and racing in the Xbox League. Bentley was kind of hard there. Givens, P25 right now, another Bentley on track today. But overall, so few of those. And I don't know that it would help them here at Brands anyway, given the Bentley's straight line speed, but interesting to see the changes that have gone through. We saw the M4 Revolution when that car launched with no BOP. As that got nerfed back, as it should, you know, BOP applied and things brought back into line, fewer and fewer drivers wanted to be in that M4. So now I think we have a great mix of cars. BMW, Bentley, Mercedes, McLaren, all in our top 10. A great representation of Porsches. Pickett, Thomas, Isar, Zap, DJ, and Gress down there. A few Lexus. Oh, and, you know, like one Honda. Nobody cares. No, there are two Hondas out there today. James Bising, one of them. Mr. Nugget himself. And Terrell Taylor in the other. Under 1 minute to go to our formation lap today, folks. Again, don't forget, come back next week. Paul Ricard. Endurance racing. 90 minutes. You get twice as much race next week for the same price. Definitely should join us here at Box3 Motorsports. Here we go, underway for today's formation lap. The pits are set. The drivers are on track. Get ready for Brands Hatch. Good to see that Brent Evans will be able to race today. We saw a DQ earlier for him. Luckily, it looks like somebody cleared that out. I'm not sure why that might have happened, but it'll be good to see him out on track today. On track. There you go, Brent. Thank you. You got this. Yannick Kurtz leads the way with King McGee right there. Again, I love King McGee's livery. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I do still say it looks like something Austin Powers would drive, and I'll own that. It's still wonderful. Christoph Arts as well. Another fancy looking vehicle. Very distinctive. Esports legend Brian Canopin right there behind him. Oh, and Brian? You talking about Brent Evans? I don't know if you're serious or not, so I'm not going to do that. He can yell at me later. $6 p.m. start time here on track, but 30 minutes of sunshine. Temperatures holding steady with 18 ambient and 21 C down on the track. With a 6 o'clock start time, we'll have to see if those maybe back off a little bit as this race goes. I'm going to assume a 1x time multiplier as our drivers drop into double file. But still very curious to see if those temperatures will change throughout the course of today's race. Come around past the pit entry, getting ready for the green flag. It's going to be speedy down into T1. Bring our focus back a little bit here to get ready. Green flag, and we are off to the races at Brands Hatch. Brian Canopin having a little bit of a rough start there. Looked like he was struggling to get on the gas. That's very odd. Jumping back here down through, though, it looks like a clean T1 for everyone. As we bump back up front, Aguilar is off track, however. Kurt's continuing to lead now with King McGee right there behind him. Arts Garten able to get the jump on Canopin, though. I'm kind of glad you guys see that now. You see my pain? Because this is what ACC does. It just rolls through everything. Makes King McGee's in 20th. Back here, Thomas and Fernandez, a bit of a battle. Along with Chalice and Kesar behind him. Oh, and we've got someone way off track. They've grabbed the brakes, though. We're good there. Wangle Snatcher. Dropping back quickly. Yannick Kurtz continuing up front, but King McGee right there. We saw these guys had very close pace during that qualifying. So we'll see if McGee can keep the pressure on Kurtz and force a mistake some point in the next 45 minutes. James Bising off track at one point. Brent Evans now. Oh, no. Bad pile up here. Let's jump back real quick, see if we can catch up with this. Guys trying to avoid each other. And there it all comes to a head right at the end of that corner exit. Garten and Canopin now Gonna play some back and forth with Brian Canopin applying pressure. He's got the shot to the outside up the straight. Again, very similar qualification time, so a very even race here. It's all about waiting them out, see if we can make that mistake. Kurtz and McGee up front continue to battle, but now Art's coming up behind them, possibly looking to get into the mix. Kurtz swinging out, trying to cut off McGee. McGee holding fastest lap now with a 1:25.475, a little bit over a tenth faster than Kurtz. Butler now into the pits. Moses losing position quickly, off into the grass, costing him at least 4 spots right there. Dropping him from 6th all the way down to 10th. Haynes, Gable, Ottens, and Santos all taking the benefit from that. The battle of the Hondas, Bicing and Taylor now. Taylor throwing himself off track, however. Let's back that up just a little bit, catch it again. Bicing able to get around Taylor. And then Taylor pushing himself, throwing the ass end of that car out in the corner. Could have had a great battle there if he'd have been able to hold on. Unfortunately, not able to do so. Weiss Gable now under pressure from Remco, Ottens, and Santos. Gable going way wide, letting Ottens sneak through. Remco Ottens now up into 7th. Brian Canopin now with the fastest lap today of a 1:24.3. Has slid back to about a second off of Garton. And again, McGee continues up front to apply pressure to Kurtz. Coffin and Steven now going to battle. Coffin in front in that Porsche. G. Stevens McLaren right there behind him, though. Oh, and a slide right there. A possible contact, but it's very hard to tell if Steven actually made contact on the back end of Coffin's Porsche or not. Something the stewards will have to look into later. Charlton now leading Zap. Ottens in a battle with Thomas, another Porsche battle. Otten's able to pull away a bit now as Thomas looks to play defense against Fernandez. Adam Thomas locking down those brakes as he comes into P2 or T2. And as this battle rages, now Gray and Anderson starting to stack up behind them. As Thomas looks to close back up in on Otten's. Check in back up front as Kurtz continues to defend his position against McGee. These guys have opened up behind them to Arts with about 1.5 seconds, so the battle for first is right here. Speaking of Arts, Garton and Canopin now have caught up, and we've got a three-way battle for third coming up. Starting to take shape for us. McGee looking for any opportunity to get Kurtz to make that slip. And again, these guys are already starting to come up on back markers with Anderson there in front of them. 35 minutes left to go in today's race. Oh, wow. And back markers. Action. Wow, that was scary right there. A great play on King McGee's part, able to just narrowly avoid the back marker, who to Anderson's credit, I mean, that was Anderson's credit. Anderson was out of the way, right? He was doing his best he knew what was coming and was doing everything he could to stay out of the way and not be a hazard. And McGee just looked to take the move towards the outside of the track right there and almost regretted it. Wow. Checking again with Arts, Garton, and Canopin back here. Again, that three-way run for third. But Art's a very consistent driver. I think it's going to take a lot for Garton or Canopin, you know, if Canopin's able to get around Garton at least, for either one of them to shake his confidence. He's done very well thus far racing with Box 3. Brian sitting back, just looking for his opportunity to see what these two are going to do. See if he's able to capitalize on it. We watch them, though. We've got to go back and check in on Chris Moses now. With Remco Ottens, Thomas, Fernandez, and Gray all right there behind him. Thomas, Fernandez, and Gray now falling back a bit, going way well wide, but Remco Ottens sticking right there. Gray able to bump ahead of Fernandez now with that runoff into the grass. And Remco Ottens able to take P9 with that wide run. And now he'll get to play pack leader. Otten's now running away, but Moses continues to find pressure, now in the form of Thomas. Speaking of Hondas, Taylor struggling in the grass further back the row, but we've got to again check out up front because McGee is looking little nudge there to the back corner of Kurtz's car. Wanted to remind him he was there. He didn't want him to forget. Hey, by the way, yeah, hi, still here. And I know McGee does not want to win this race by form of an incident. That is to be sure. And I'm sure taking his time. But Arts, now these guys well on him back with Arts, Garton, and Canopin continuing. Arts running just a little wide. It's those little mistakes that are going to allow Garton or Canopin to capitalize, bring themselves up in front of him. Ray able to move up on Thomas now, with Fernandez right there wanting to capitalize as well. Rest, Taylor, and Evans now all into the pits. We will soon start to see some of those mandatory pit stops get cleared out. So obviously, again, you know, we talked about this before. The back markers are going to become an issue. If we look up front at Kurtz and McGee, now a 2-second gap. Kurtz opening up over 2 seconds over McGee. Willing to bet some of that could have been back marker traffic, right? These guys getting hung up. Even if we look at the Arts, Garton, and Canopin battle, Arts and Garton still running very close, but Brian Canopin now 2 seconds back from their pace. So folks starting to spread out a little bit as they run into traffic and things start to get a little more muddled on track. You have to be very careful to know to have that situational awareness to know who's battling, who's not just as the race leaders, but as those back markers as well. If you're one of those back markers, who's fighting who and how close are they, right? It's all about that situational awareness and trying to make sure you can stay out of the way as much as possible. Garton wanting a podium today. Art's right there. It's so close he can taste it. Now, if I'm Garton, do I head into the pits? Maybe if not this lap, maybe the next lap, right? I've been battling since the start of this race with Arts. Do I dive? If I don't see Arts go in, do I dive in, try for the undercut, try and get in and out, and then have clean air to come back out on track too, right? And maybe if I'm not stuck behind him, I can make up enough time before he goes into the pits, and now all of a sudden I'm sitting in third as Arts comes back out. Let's take a look back here quietly. Tobias Gable slowly but surely moving forward, currently sitting P7. Thomas and Fernandez are going to go side by side right now, though. The Fernandez able to take that position, moving himself up into 12th. Can he hold it? Yes, he can, as he claims P12 from Thomas's Porsche. James Bising now losing position to Pixel. So King McGee now, again, hung up in traffic. Arts is starting to close that gap. It was just under 1 second, stretched out a little bit because Arts, again, still playing defense against Garton and Canopin, and you can see the number of back markers these guys are tied up in right now. How do you race clean when you've got this much traffic around you? So much care has to be taken. Will do, Slowski. Thank you. I usually take a break after the race, but then, yes, I will be looking. Brian Canopin there with a little warble through the corner, looking to just find the nudge on Garton. There they are, side by side. Not an easy corner for a pass right there. Canopin able to hold on. Had the inside of that corner. Is he going to have the speed up the straight to keep it, though? Oh, and a bump right there between the two of them. A little door banging. Canopin coming back on track. Reset. Everybody going to calm down. Keep their current positions. Jump back, though, right now. Haynes and Gable looking to battle it out as well. Raise the land. Fuel and tires. Yes, I believe so. I believe it's both. Oh, and a lot of things changing all of a sudden. Jump back here. What happened here is Garton sliding inside and braking on the out of the corner, letting Canopin take that position. So maybe he felt like he caused that incident, wanted to give that up to him. But Tobias Gable now, not just Gable, but Santos as well, gaining position over Haynes. Really looked like Garton let him have that spot. Really, maybe feels like he caused the incident, and that Canopin should be able to take that position. So Brian Canopin now up into 4th. And Garton going to see if he can fight his way back. Oh, so it is just fuel red? Got you. Thank you. Steven and Bising now. Bising able to get right by B. Steven. Pryor and Soul. Charlton right there in front of him. So another three-way battle. There we see David Soul around the inside, claiming P20 from Pryor. Coffin right behind those guys, now into the pits, and you can see our pit stops are starting to clear. Fuel only. I was wrong about that. So fuel only as Garton pulls back up on the back end of Canopin. And uh-oh, Tobias Gable is off track. Take a look and see what happened. All by himself, pushing a little too hard, and unfortunately causing more incidents. Hard to tell if brakes were held there or not, but Tobias obviously going to drop down as he now heads into the pits to repair that damage. Kevin Huffman, Gerald Butz. Huff gonna chase him down. James Bising. The Nugget himself is right there in front of those guys, though. Good to go, TG. It's always hard to tell from our angle. I see the rollback, and sometimes I think it isn't, right? So, but it's always hard to tell. King McGee now setting the fastest lap of the race so far today with a 1:23.8. So our first 1:23 during the race. James Bising under pressure now, though. Can the Honda hold on against two Lexus? Hey, there's so much for that sub. Thank you for being here. Very much appreciated. Thank you for the subscription as well. You enjoyed GT3 racing. This is where you want to be each and every week. We do our best to bring it all to you. Butts and Huffman now. Huff holding back just a little bit, waiting to see what's going to happen between Bising and Butts. James struggling a little bit today. James going wide. We've seen that before. Is it going to be enough for one of these two Lexus drivers to take advantage? Maybe give James Bising a little bit of the honey mustard. Here it comes down the straight. Not quite there yet, though. And why don't we go 3 wide into T1? That's 1 through, and Huffman makes it as well. James Nugget Bising taking it from a Lexus on each end and ends up getting past twice. Yannick Kurtz continues the lead, but McGee now catching back up to half a second off the pace. As we said, McGee last lap pulled that 1:23, the only one we've seen during the race today. Ray and Keesar are going to go side by side into T1 now. Gray holding on for now, but Keesar having a great run today. We'll keep an eye on that battle up front as McGee continues to close in on Kurtz, and Brian Canopin right there. Whoa, jump that back because that happened very quickly. You see the gap there, and Art's into the pits. That's why pit flag didn't show up for me right away, but all of a sudden Brian Canopin was just a flying by. Bringing him up to third, but Kurtz once again no free drives at Brands Hatch, and McGee is going to show Kurtz what pressure's all about. You see that warble on the front end of that BMW as they come up the hill. Art's already back out on track. A quick splash and dash. 18.5 minutes left to go. But currently, he was in 9th, but a little bit of that of DJ puts him now into 8th. Our only front runner thus far with a cleared pit. As Kurtz and McGee. Kurtz now spun and sideways. Uh-oh. Let's see if we can get a better angle on that. What happened there? Backmarker rejoin and the slowdown. And came in. Oh, that is unfortunate right there. Kurtz now sitting in 3rd. King McGee taking pole with Brian Canopin moving up into 2nd. Shame to see a great battle end like that. You always want to see it run right to the end of the race. With over half our time gone, 17 and a half minutes left to go. McGee leading with Brian Canopin 4 seconds off the pace. Kurtz there in third behind Canopin, with Garton now bringing up fourth. So it looked like that whole chain reaction was more of a slowdown than expected because of the back marker kind of rejoining off the grass. Maybe that's what started that chain reaction that we saw lead to that incident, which is, again, a total shame. James Bising now under attack once again, this time by a Porsche. Aguilar's very colorful Porsche. These guys look to go side by side in the T1. Always a good idea at Brands Hatch. Zach Brannigan right there, bringing up the rear. James fading wide, but trying to hold on. And now both of these guys, a back marker to Zap. Aguilar able to clear around Bising, who will now be looking to let Zap sneak through. And now Brian Canopin losing 2 positions back into fourth as he spins. Looked like a clean though on his own. Anderson in 7th now into the pits. So Brian Canopin now sitting in 4th. King McGee, Kurtz, and Garton back up in 2nd and 3rd respectively. So Kurtz gaining that position back, getting himself back up into 2nd position behind King McGee. And now we're going to watch Garton and Canopin go to it one more time. Well, and that's, yeah, see, you're right, Bray. That he did. But what I think part of it was, what I think started all of it was that back marker left the track and then rejoined right at that apex as those guys were already there. So they go way slower, and not even, so it kind of was a chain reaction to back them all up, and then Kurtz came in on his corner afterwards. You're right there. So again, the stewards will review it. I calls it as I sees it on the fly from here. And that's about all I can do. Nobody should ever listen to me when it comes to racing incidents. That's for sure. We'll have to do like a disclaimer, maybe. So after all those changes, after all the rumbles and tumbles, you know, Kurtz losing P1, McGee leading right now, but beyond that, Garton in 3rd, Canopin in 4th. We've been watching this for a lot of this race. Now under 15 minutes left to go. With all the jumbles, they're all back to where they were for the most part. Jump back a little further. It's Chalice, Brown, and Fernandez. Brown off track, letting both Fernandez and Chalice sneak by, but Fernandez taking a position from Chalice as well, getting himself up too. Brown also losing position to Pryor during that move. Rob Kesar now under pressure from Gray. Oh, and somebody is way off track there. Seneca yellow flagged. So King McGee now into the pits. Let's watch him. Let's stay on him right here real quick just to see what happens. Again, Kurtz still has to go in, but I'm curious to see where he falls out on track, and we're going to have to keep an eye on that. But we're going to have to jump ahead because Brian Canopin is once again tucking himself under the wing of Garton. So Kurtz now leads with Garton and Canopin 2nd and 3rd, Santos in 4th, but all 4 of those guys needing that quick pit stop. The question's all about when. Thank you, Red. That's perfect. Gotta say, Will, I'm a little disappointed though, because there's a friend over at my house right now, and he's upstairs with my wife. Not upstairs in the kitchen. He's a friend of ours. Jump back though. Anderson and Pickett, and there it was. Canopin taking position as Garton dives into the pits. So Garton gonna get his. We watch him slowly roll through. We'll see how long that takes. Let's take a look at Rob Keesar and Gray again continuing to battle. So King McGee at the time, 22 seconds back, now jumping ahead. He's only 16 back from Santos. So everything very tight. It looks as though McGee's going to be able to reclaim P1 before the end of this race relatively easily. The only drivers at this point I've seen that have not taken the pit are our top 3 leaders, along with DJ, currently sitting in 7th. Anderson and Pickett continue to battle. Anderson in the Lexus up front. Pickett in the purple Porsche. Thomas trying to hold on for the next 10 minutes and maintain that top 10 against Moses. There it is, though. Moses able to make the clean pass. Getting himself up into 9th. Anderson and Pickett continue to nip at each other back here. Now, as we jump up a little higher, DJ, as we said, DJ, having taken no pit stop yet, still is going to have to go into the pits, losing position to Remco Ottens right now. If Otten holding the inside into T1, and there he goes, holding on to it, but DJ still having to go into the pits means Ottens should feel very secure in that position, even if DJ sneaks back by. As long as he can keep him close, he'll end up taking P7 right back. Silvares and Steven back for P22 right now. Butts now catching up to them as well. This could become a three-way towards the end of this race. Gray and Fernandez battling it out as well. There we go. Fernandez able to sneak right through, gaining a position right here at the end of the race. McGee still holding on to P4 at our fastest lap so far in the race today. Kurtz, Canopin, and Santos, none of them having yet gone into the pits. DJ now heading in. That late drop. Otten's going to hold on to that P7. Should be very handily after that. Pickett and Anderson still chasing each other. Haynes now looking to the inside. Nice and tight through that hairpin and able to grab it from Soul. EJ and Fernandez again. And Fernandez clearing him through T1. Taking it and holding on to it handily up there. Kurtz, our race leader, now into the pits. So Brian Canopin and Santos still needing to drop in. Where is King McGee going to show up? And there he goes. Should be able to drop right by. So King McGee able to move ahead into P3 over Kurtz. Again, with Canopin and Santos still having to clear those pit stops. Go back and take a look at Anderson and Pickett. Oh, and Anderson way off track. Pickett able to shoot ahead. Chalice and Brown now as well going for it. Chalice playing very hard defense here. Brown looking for any crank in the armor. Chalice able to hold on, but again, once again, we've got to check in with Anderson and Pickett. These guys keeping it close. Anderson able to take his position back. Pickett running behind again. Canopin and Santos waiting until the last possible minute to dive into the pits. But King McGee only running 20 seconds back from Canopin right now, okay? And I know your screen shows 13. That's the distance back from the driver in front of him. So a full 20 seconds up to Canopin. I don't know what they're going to accomplish by staying out this long. The pit stop has to be done or you're DQ'd, right? You lose automatically. And King McGee is close enough at this point. He's going to be able to take that position back as Santos now heads into the pits. And there are no points taken for, you know, laps led or anything like that. So, and there goes King McGee up into second. And Pickett sliding this time, giving Anderson the breathing room he needs to hold on until the end of this race for P11. Jump back Gray defending against Zap Brannigan. Zap having a great race today. Seemed very clean. Chalice and Brown once more. Side by side up the hill. And Chalice able to nudge him out, take P20 away. Pickett and Fernandez. Sorry, we had to jump it out, folks. I saw that incident, but Pickett and Fernandez are now side by side. Brian Canopin now into the pits. Fuel only. I was incorrect earlier. There are no tires required, so it's a splash and dash. And there goes King McGee, takes up first position. Brian Canopin dropping back to third so far. Santos and Garton now for P5. Canopin back out on track. Solidly in third, 7.5 over Arts, sitting in fourth. So only lost 2 spots from that. And with the race over, this will be the last lap. This should be the last lap right here as we watch Santos and Garton are going to battle right to the end for P5. Garton able to sneak ahead, but no, went way too wide through that hairpin, and Santos giving himself a little breathing room now. Meanwhile, back here, Pickett under pressure from Fernandez. As these guys look to make one more lap, I'll keep an eye on that Santos and Garton battle. Oh, and a push right there. And Pickett is off into the wall. Gonna lose several positions to that right at the end. But there it is, King McGee crossing the finish line first. He is your winner of round 3 at Brands Hatch. Kurtz right there behind him, now sitting in the pits already. Brian Canopin sits in third. Santos and Garton again right to the end. Santos holds on to P5. Those guys had gotten spread out. Suddenly, we're right back together. Remco Ottens finishing in 7th today. Great showing from him, from Moses as well. Coming around right now. Finished P8. There's Thomas, P9, and Rob Kisar. Rob Kisar looking to come across the line in P10. So great racing today, ladies and gentlemen. I think much better than what we've recently seen in a few of our races. We throw our times up there, wait for the final drivers to come across. I do want to thank everyone for joining us today. If you're a fan of GT3 racing, don't forget, come back here every Sunday afternoon or evening if you're in Europe. Box3 Motorsports presents ACC Racing. There is your list from today's race, ladies and gentlemen. Much better driving than I think what we've seen in the last few weeks. Much cleaner. Obviously, again, you're never going to eliminate 100% of incidents, right? That's never going to happen. I don't care what you do. They happen in the real world. It's racing. People are going to bang in doors and everything else, right? But I think we had a much better race here at Brands Hatch today than we've had in quite a while. Just due to having some issues and other things that have gone on. So, again, excellent turnout from everyone. I do want to thank everybody for watching today. Again, come back next Sunday. We're here for our Paul Ricard endurance race. That'll be 90 minutes long. That's a long time at Paul Ricard, but you can catch it right here at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I'll be right here to cover all of that. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I want to thank all the drivers for being on track today. Great job to everyone. And don't forget, tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, catch our Euro Trip Casual League. Quick 30-minute race, but you can watch it right here and enjoy yourselves. Everybody have a great weekend. Have a great week at work. And again, thank you for being here.
The sporting editors had also given me $300 in cash, most of which was already spent on extremely dangerous drugs. The trunk of the car looked like a mobile police narcotics lab. We had 2 bags of grass, 75 pellets of mescaline, 5 sheets of high-powered blotter acid, a salt shaker half full of cocaine, and a whole galaxy of multicolored uppers, downers, screamers, laughers, and also a quart of tequila, a quart of rum, a case of Budweiser, a pint of raw ether, and 2 dozen amyls. All this had been rounded up the night before in a frenzy of high-speed driving all over Los Angeles County. From Topanga to Watts, we picked up everything we could get our hands on. Not that we needed all that for the trip, but once you get locked into a serious drug collection, the tendency is to push it as far as you can. The only thing that really worried me was the ether. There is nothing in the world more helpless and irresponsible and depraved than a man in the depths of an ether binge. And I knew we'd get into that rotten stuff pretty soon, probably at the next gas station.